Thank you very much, everybody. When I contacted the Pastor Hoppy, and I said, hey, could I come visit? Do you have a date that would work out? He's like, well, I don't know. We're having this barbecue thing where two churches are going to be together at the same time. I was like, well, you know what? That would work. So it's perfect timing. It was the Lord's will, and of course, and so he put this together and brought us all here at the same time. So again, thank you for having us, and we're very glad to be here. So let's just kind of dive right in, because I have a lot of information, a lot that I can share with you folks about what's going on over there in Papua New Guinea. And so much so, in fact, I have so much that really I have to kind of pick and choose what I want to share with you, because, again, there's so much that we could talk about, like their culture, how people live, what they eat, basically it's food, what do they wear, clothes. So, but we're not going to talk about the culture so much. I'll throw in a couple tidbits here and there. But what we're going to focus on is what the church is doing in Papua New Guinea. Okay, so that's what we say, sharing Jesus in Papua New Guinea. Feel free to get more food, I will not be offended. Sharing Jesus in Papua New Guinea. Now, if you heard me upstairs, I could have told you, where is Papua New Guinea? For those of you who are awake and listening, where is it? Near Australia. There it is, near Australia. And it is the island up there. The island's about the size of California, to get kind of your bearings. I think it's the largest island in the world. But really, we're just talking about the eastern half. Okay? The brief history of Papua New Guinea, of course, it was already populated when the Europeans got there. But you had colonies by the Dutch, and the English, and the German. Okay? And the Dutch took the left side, the English and Germans on the right side. And about the World Wars, the Australian government basically got control of the eastern side. And in 1975, roughly 40 years ago, 42 years now, in 1975, Papua New Guinea became their own official country. Right? And the Dutch gave their part over to the Indonesian government. So you got the two sides split in half. So we're talking about just the right side over there. There we are. And Papua New Guinea is an island. It's also a mountainous island. Okay, so if you can see that kind of green, that dark green central area there, that's the area where we are located. Right? And the story basically goes like this. Most people settled on the coast. It's very hot, very humid. And it wasn't until the 1930s that some gold miners decided they would go to the mountains to try and find some gold. And so they took with them some guides to show them how to traverse the terrain. And when they got to the mountains, they discovered about 1 million people up in the hills. And they were so remote and isolated that the guides didn't know there was anybody up there. Right? So very quickly, it drew a lot of interest, and the churches started to send a lot of people up there to bring the gospel. So the Australian churches started, but they didn't have enough manpower. So the Australian churches asked people throughout the world for help, and they asked the LCMS. And the LCMS church actually sent 2 missionaries up to the mountains in 1948. We'll take a look at that. But first, take a look. Some of the scenery of what it looks like up there in the hills. Very beautiful, very lush. Rains about every day. During their dry season, during their wet season. During the dry season, it rains about every other day. So, but you can see it's very mountainous, so not good for corn row cropping, but very beautiful nonetheless. So, the PNG mission, PNG, Papua New Guinea, we just shorten it down for you. Again, 1948, that was the year that the first missionaries arrived up in the highlands, they call it. And it is high up. It's about a mile up in elevation. And it took them about 9 years until they had their first baptism. So they arrive and they have to learn the local language, and then they have to what would you call it, transcribe or write their language down, because it wasn't a written language. And then they had to teach the people there how to read their own language, because they didn't read. And then of course they're telling stories. They're telling stories of creation and God and the fall into sin and Jesus, his death and resurrection. And 9 years later they had their first baptisms. And once they had their baptisms, they came by the hundreds. Whole villages would convert, whole villages would be baptized. You see here one picture, this is from 1961, but you see them all lined up there. They carry the big old cross, you know. They have very strong arms there, talking to be able to carry them. But yeah, so they had the baptisms. Praise be to God. And so about 20 years after, they established, with the help of the LCMS, the church in Papua New Guinea established their own, we call it a synod, okay? So it's a partner church with us. It is called the Good News Lutheran Church. If you can see the spelling, G-U-T-N-I-U-S, Good News. Say it fast, it sounds right. Good News Lutheran Church. And the church was ran and operated by the local people there. Things went well at the start, but very quickly turned a little turn for the worse. So their bishop, now they have a bishop where we have a president, okay, but it's basically the same thing. So they have a bishop, and he was not playing nice by the rules. So helping himself to the money, he was firing people for no reason, various other things. So in 2009, the church actually excommunicated him, which is pretty severe, but that's kind of how fed up they were. Unfortunately, he took them to court, and because he had relatives on the court, he won. But meanwhile, the church itself said, no, we get to pick our own bishop. So basically now you have two bishops. You have the church's bishop and the court's bishop. All right? Here we are in 2014. They had a contested election. Now in 2014, the church said, well, look, we've got all the support, most of it anyway. How about we just go to the convention, we'll vote the other guy out, we'll be done with it, basically. Well, when they got to the building for the votes, the old bishop, the former bishop, had literally locked the door and posted armed guards outside. And so when he went to have his vote, guess who won? That's right, he did. Meanwhile, the church was outside, locked out, and so they voted for their own guy again and said, look, we're still going to vote for our bishop, and we still have our own. So basically, they went back to court and said, you can't just lock us out and vote yourself bishop. And so through a process of mediation, they tried to come to some agreement. Well, that has recently failed. The old bishop, the former bishop, will not concede anything. He will not step down. He will not work with the other group. And so the mediation officially failed, and they were going back to court. Now this is what? This is pretty sad. It's pretty encouraging that the missionaries came and established a church so rapidly, but then it turned so bad so fast. Now, what I'm about to tell you from here on out is going to be good news. Okay? This is the bad news. Now we got coming up the good news. Because why? Because while this is all going on, while these guys with these church administrations are fighting, these bishops are going to court back and forth, meanwhile, the church, meaning the believers in Christ, the body of Christ, those who've been baptized and saved, are still on the ground doing church stuff. All right? So what I'm about to show you is what's actually going on while these guys are up and down. It's like the story of two churches. You've got the administration and you've got the people on the ground in the pews. All right, I want to introduce you to Bishop Nicodemus Ian. We call him Bishop Nick for short. He is the bishop that the church has appointed to be their bishop. Oh, by the way, this is at a baptism. Notice they're all wearing clothes. Now, I point this out because when they discovered these people up in the mountains, they were Stone Age. Literally. They had stone axes. They wore leaves. They lived in grass houses. Actually, they still live in grass houses, but But now they're wearing clothes, so don't have to worry about that. So they've come a long way in a very short time, right? These guys have cell phones. And, you know, when I was growing up, I did not have a cell phone. Now, so literally Stone Age people to cell phones in less than 100 years. So here's Bishop Nick. And their church is divided up into 6 different regions. Like, I think the LCMS has 36. They have 6. So this is and each one has a bishop. This is Bishop Sampson. In the blue shirt here is Bishop Katai Nomba. Here's Bishop Isara Solai, Bishop Poko Kutai. And there in the red stole on the left is Bishop John Timothy. So, when we first arrived in Papua New Guinea, it was September of 2015, roughly 2 years ago. And I know I told you it rains a lot, but we happened to come there in the middle of a drought. Okay? If you've heard at all of the El Nino effect, when the ocean waters kind of warm up a little bit, over here we get too much rain, over there they get not enough. So about every 18 years or so, they get a drought. And so we landed there in the middle of this. And very quickly I had to help them go to work to get disaster relief. And so one part of that was getting rice and tuna fish and basic necessities out to some of these pastures. Now, when there's a drought, again, these are subsistence farmers. So basically they grow their food, and then they eat their food. And then they grow more food, and then they eat more food. That's all they do to get their food. Well, when there's a drought and your crops die, you got some trouble. When that happens, the people in the affected areas will just leave, and they will go to where the food is. That's how they deal with that, unless you're maybe too old or infirm and can't, in which case you just stay behind and starve. So what we did was we tried to help the pastors in the area, the pastors who would hopefully stay behind and minister to those people who were also left behind there. So here we are giving out some of the food. And the distributions, they were very orderly, very structured. There was no rioting, none of that kind of thing. But if you see on this picture, one thing they told me was, yeah, we've had droughts before, and our crops would die. And also, if it got really bad, some of our bushes and things would die. But they said, we've never had it so bad that our trees turned brown and died, like you see here. That's how severe this picture is. That's how severe this particular drought was. We went to another distribution. This is Pastor Key, and that's his congregation behind him there. As one of the distribution points, and we got to hear a lot of the stories from the folks who were there. This one lady, she got up and she said this, quote, "I am old." That's what she said. And she says, "I've been through many droughts." And we would be walking along the road, and we'd find just dead people on the side of the road. And we would just basically bury their bones. And she said, "But now, since you missionaries have come, you brought the good news to us. And now I have a church and a pastor." And she said, "I can now go to church and sit in my pew and die." But she says, "It's okay, because I know where I'm going. I'm going to heaven. Jesus has died for my sins, and because of that, I will be fine." And she said, "I want to give you this gift." And she walked over, and I took this picture. And she hands me this cabbage. She says, "I just want to say thank you for bringing us Jesus." She walks over and hands me this. And of course, I'm thinking, you're the one who's starving. You need this. I don't need that cabbage. But again, this is a gift of what? A gift of thankfulness and faith, right? This is like, the story obviously comes to mind, the widow who gave the 2 cents or 2 pennies, and that was all that she had. You know, that very much came to my mind when I saw this. Again, just that gift of faith and trust that things will be okay. I spoke before this group, and I said something very similar to them. They asked me to get up and speak, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to say? You know, you guys are starving. But I said, you're having hard times, and it feels as if God has left you during these hard times. And especially because something I forgot to mention, during the time when the missionaries went to Papua New Guinea, the LCMS sent around 100 missionaries to Papua New Guinea at one time. Now let me ask you folks, if you would take a guess at how many missionaries from the LCMS, how many missionaries are in the entire world today? How many would you guess?
150.
Shh. Who said that? That was a great guess, because that's exactly how many we have in the world today.
How many?
150 in the entire world today. And at one time in Papua New Guinea, there was 100. So they had a lot of resources, a lot of build-up, a lot of expansion go on there. And then it came to a point when they had one missionary left. And so I told this crowd, I said, look, I've heard the story of how the missionaries came, started this church, and then left. And I've heard some of you say you feel abandoned. You feel left behind. But I said, look, yes, it's true, the missionaries were here and they've gone home. Well, what did they leave behind? I said, you have a pastor, and I pointed this guy here. You have this row of bishops seated over there. You have the Word of God, the Bible, the Scripture. I said, the missionaries left, that's true, but God has not left. So it was a chance to kind of encourage them with that, because when you're struggling under a hardship like a drought, it's easy to kind of wonder and question. We went to the Tambuwal Valley, there it is. We sat down on a tree, and the pastor there showed us this potato, which you see the leaves coming out of it, which makes it look like it's still alive, but it's actually dead. He showed us, he took it and cracked it in half. It's basically dust. And he showed us this other one. He says, yeah, when the potatoes are dying, they will put up little leaves, but you see that little stick of a potato there. He says that's not going to grow. So kind of our job number 2 was to get these folks some potatoes. Now, I mentioned the gold miners, right? And they did find gold, by the way. And up in the mountains. So they built a road. Get this, there's one road, it's paved sometimes, that goes from the coast all the way up to the hills, up to the gold mine. And this gentleman here on the right, he runs a shipping company, a trucking company, that goes back and forth to the gold mine. So he agreed to help us out with some transportation to get some new potatoes out to these folks. Now, if you're thinking potatoes, what's the big deal about potatoes? Well, their old crops would take about 10 months to grow to maturity. These new ones took about 2 months. Okay, these were special potatoes. So they were able to get those distributed out. Here's a little, one of the places you can get those. And then some people taught them how to use the new potatoes, basically what kind of fertilizer to use and how to take care of these new potatoes. So here's Bishop John. We bought hundreds of bags of these new potatoes for these folks to grow and eat. I took this picture of Bishop John's office. See that thing there in his office? What is that on that table there? When's the last time you saw one of those? Why does Bishop John, why do you think Bishop John has a typewriter in his office? All right, so they planted the potatoes, they got them going again, and thanks be to God, they came out pretty well. Now, the reason I show you this is not just to make you feel bad about starving people. I mean, it is bad, and there's no doubt. But kind of how God can bring good things out of a tragic event. So through this, for me personally, what I was able to do in a very short amount of time was to travel to many different locations, very distant, remote locations that I probably wouldn't have got to for a long time. And I was able to meet a lot of the church leaders and get to know them, and hear their stories, and hear about their struggles, not just with the crowd, but with how the church is run, and that kind of thing. Hear these stories about the old bishop and how they want to have a good bishop and a church that actually works well. And so this is a chance that I had through this tragic event to kind of get something good out of it. So this church, they have a seminary up in the hills, and so here it is. We actually live at this on the same campus. We're up on top of this hill. All right, so we went back to the Tambuwal Valley because they also have a Bible school in Tambuwal. Here we are, all loaded up in the car, and off we go. And here's their headmaster teacher, okay, Pastor Sampson. That's his house and the office building behind him there. It's about how big it is. It doesn't go much further past that. A couple of their graduates in the red shirts. Kids were all there. They loved to meet everybody. There in the background is the sanctuary. So we go inside. seated on the floor. They don't even have pews, so they just sit down. And up front they have, they're playing with the acoustic guitars. Why do you think they're playing with acoustic guitars? Electricity, good. You guys are getting it. So yeah, and they follow like a liturgy, just like we have. Okay, so they have a divine service, and they have a communion or non-communion services, just like we do. And check this out. Look at that. That is the pulpit. That is the pulpit. This is Pastor Larry Matro. He's our area director, and he came and preached here. But that pulpit, the most decorated thing I've ever seen in my life. When they decorate, they just leave the decorations on there. They never take them down. So that could be years of worth of. It looks like R2-D2 in the 1970s or something at a disco. I don't know. Anyway, so we're at the Townville School, and at the Townville Bible School, this is a board meeting. Get it? This is a board meeting. Because well, they're boring. But no, at the board meeting, again, so when you're having a structure problem, management structure problem, one of the things you want to have is a board, a group, basically a group of people who are making decisions. Should we, how many students should we enroll? How much money do we have to spend and look at? Those types of things. When you have a group of people making those decisions, you have that accountability, okay, the transparency comes along with that. Okay, and these are kind of the things that we're sort of used to. If you've ever been in business or that kind of stuff, or if you ever work somewhere, we have those things. But over there, they don't have that as much. So they're starting to get a little bit used to that, and that's one of the things I'm doing there is helping them get used to those types of things. All right, this is their dormitory where the students sleep. We'll take a peek inside. Wood structure, grass top, and inside there's their. They must have found a barrel. They cut the top off that, and they cook on that. And then they'll sleep around that platform, and they'll sleep in that back room there. Okay, the students all sleep there. I think one of the teachers as well. And they have their classes in the sanctuary. They don't have a separate classroom. So you see the blackboards set up there. Now again, because things work a little differently there, one of the things I was helping them do and learn about was how to budget. Okay, and how to save up for certain projects that they might want to have accomplished, like a new dorm, or a new office, or a new classroom. But something I have to tell you about how they live is they are very tribal. Okay, and when you're in a tribe, you're in a group that is very close-knit and takes care of each other. So if you get something like extra potatoes, you're going to just share those with the whole tribe. And if they get something extra, they're going to share it with you. It's just how they work and live in order to survive, basically. So when you're in a tribe, that's how you think, that's how you kind of function and operate. All right? But it doesn't lend itself too well to like budgeting some money. Like, put some money aside for next month. Well, wait a minute, we need it right now. Well, yeah, but you'll need it next month too. Yeah, but we need it right now. So it's a little hard to get them to do those things. So with a little bit of help and encouragement, that's one thing I was able to do to help them is to put some money aside each month, and so that they could do this. Now this is them pouring a foundation for a new multi-room building. So this is going to be their dorm and office building and classroom. So again, not that they're not capable of this, they're just not comfortable with this. Okay, they're not used to these types of management structures that we have and that we're a little more accustomed to. Here's a Papa Youth's Bible School station. They already have their buildings built in the 1960s. All right, and here we are with some of their board members. That's not all their board members. Whenever you hold up a camera over there, all of a sudden people just show up out of nowhere. They all get in front of the camera. They want their pictures taken. So some of their board members. And they took me on a tour of the Papa Youth Bible School campus. So here's some of the teacher houses. Former missionary houses, but now given over to the teachers. And they're not so big on what we would call maintenance. Okay? They just kind of let things go. Again, I'll show you why. This is the interior of some of those buildings. They typically build their structures like this. They're made out of wood. They have wood sticks. And they have like a siding made out of grass or leaves. And then they have a grass up on top. Okay? And those will last maybe 10 years. until they get so weak that they basically just collapse and fall down. At which time they will just kick it aside and build up a new one. Okay? So that's their idea of maintenance. So here's a new structure going up. It doesn't have the siding on yet, but you can kind of see it. Got the sticks, got the grass, and that smoke is what they will. The grass is a little bit waterproof, but they'll cook the fires in there to let the smoke seep into that grass, and it thickens up and it becomes even more waterproof. But again, they only last about 10 years, so a little bit different. Okay, this is Pastor Tino. Pastor Tino is the schoolmaster at Munduku Station. Here is Munduku Station. Munduku Station is in the middle of a swamp. And when we tried to send them some resources one time, they couldn't get them because their airstrip was underwater. So they had to travel by canoe for about 2 hours to a different airstrip to get their resources. Well, now let me ask you, when's the last time you took a 2-hour canoe ride to the grocery store? For me, it was just last week. No, that's a hollowed out tree, by the way. You can see what they're sitting in there. So again, very, very different place, not what we're used to. And lastly, this is Copiago. Okay, this is Bishop Nick there in the middle. Copiago, where's that? If you look up here, here's Nowhere, and here's Copiago right next to it, okay? It's basically right there. And there's not much in Copiago, but there's a Bible school, there's a primary school, and some people, but you can see there's not much else. There's a few other houses, again, they look a little run down, but they'll just knock it down and build up a new one later. So yeah. Again, as I was talking to these teachers and the faculty at the seminary, I was asking them, hey, do you guys ever get together and have a joint meeting where you kind of share ideas and help each other out? And they said, oh, that sounds wonderful. No, we've never done that. I was like, let me help you do that. So we structured this event, and we had a teachers conference where we invited all the Bible school teachers, all the faculty at the seminary to get together and share these kinds of things. We had training sessions, we had idea generating sessions, so kind of a chance for them to all meet at one time and kind of figure things out, how they would like to proceed with these types of things, because this is where their pastors are going to come from, and they're going to go out to the field, and you want them pretty well trained. So there's a good opportunity to get them together. And that's, for me, that's the kind of thing that I'm there to do. Okay? Some of you call me pastor. Thank you very much. I'm actually not a pastor. But I do have a business background. Okay? And so the things that I'm good at or like to do is organize and structure things to work better. I'm big on efficiencies and solving problems and just, untangling the mess, basically. So, I teach courses on finance, courses on management, structure, organization, that kind of thing. So that this church body who is struggling with that can, hopefully work together in a better organized manner. Okay. Just one of the things that I'm doing there. Some of the other things I'm doing there is paying taxes. Here's proof. We have a lot of things to distribute. We get a lot of gifts to distribute. These are some of these. Have you ever heard of these pillowcase dresses? Just like it sounds. You take a pillowcase, cut a hole in it, you put straps on it, and voila, you got a dress. So we gave a lot of those out to the kids. They love those kinds of things. Now, also, there's these resources that we helped translate these resources, and the Lutheran Heritage Foundation will print these out that we can distribute. They're holding up this little book. It's the Children's Garden of Bible Verses. It's been around since the 50s. Now, you might even have a copy on your shelf. but we help translate it into their language. Now, a little bit about that. I say language, and I'll have to tell you. Papua New Guinea is known as the most language-dense country in the world, right? So, if I were to ask you folks, guess how many different languages are there in Papua New Guinea? And I don't mean dialects, I mean actual different languages. How many different languages would you say they have?
700.
That sounds like a lot. Anybody else?
56.
56? 5? There are actually 800 different languages in Papua New Guinea. 700 was close. That was
I
good.
saw that in Atlas.
You saw that? Okay. Somebody did their homework. Yes, 800 different languages. So you can imagine that's a bit of a problem. If you're a Bible translator, you've got job security forever and ever. But for the rest of us, we got to figure out how to deal with this. So they actually have developed a kind of it's called a pidgin English, okay, a simplified English that they can kind of use for basic communication, right, which works very well for basic communication. In-depth theology, not so much, but they try and they do their best. So again, this book was translated into that pidgin English, and they love it. And they have very few resources there. Okay, they have the Bible, they have Luther's Small Catechism. That's about it. They have a few other books, but they're kind of scattered here and there. So again, so when they get something like this, they're quite happy. Some of the other things we're doing in Papua New Guinea, is having a baby. And little Charles was born there on the mission field, and not exactly a surprise, but there he was. Came to join us. Now, so he's number 6. Now, I'm just sticking his little tongue out. It was kind of funny. I showed you the picture of Pastor Larry Matro. He's our area director. He came to visit us. He was bringing our car seat for the new little baby, but we didn't tell him that the baby was already born. So when he came to visit, Beth was over here on the porch, my wife, and I was over here with the camera. We got this picture. Isn't that great? Surprise! Baby. So yeah, it was kind of fun. They were real happy though. Everyone's happy. Little baby. So little Charles came and he was baptized there in Papua New Guinea. And look at that shell. Look at the size of that thing. That's an actual shell that they had the water in to baptize in. So we're very thankful for that. So yeah, everybody loves babies. So back to work. This is a picture at a bishop's council meeting. All right. So remember I said they have 6 districts and each have a bishop, and then there's a head bishop. Okay, so 7 total. And again, these guys are pretty good at what they do. I mean, they travel around and they visit different areas, but they're all kind of out there doing their own thing. So again, I was like, hey, do you guys ever get together and coordinate and kind of figure things out as a group? They said, no, not really. Okay, fine. So how about we do that? We have a kind of a coordinated outreach meeting or committee, right? So where you guys frequently meet and share ideas and stories and kind of encourage each other and plan out where you're going to go next, okay? So that's one of the things we're doing with the bishops. And we'll look at some of those events that were taking place and some of the results. But this is Bishop Nick. A little bit about Nick first. Here we are in my house. Bishop Nick lives on the seminary campus where we live. So Bishop Nick will come up and visit with me about as often as it rains. Okay, so pretty much every day I get to see Bishop Nick, which is great. I mean, how often do you get to sit with the head of a synod? Have a sit down and plan things and talk about how the church is doing and what you'd like to do in the future. Imagine if Harris came here every day.
He does.
Oh, he does. Okay. You might get a little tired of seeing him, but Bishop, he has a great story. When the missionaries came to his village in 1961, or 64, right about there, he would translate what the missionaries were saying into his tribe's language. Okay, so he was translating what the missionaries were saying. And he said through that translation, he was hearing what? The gospel. He was hearing God's word. He was hearing Jesus Christ and being crucified for his sins. And through that translation, he came to faith. And then he would go from village to village, and he would preach the good news, and he would start churches, and he got so good at it that they made him bishop. And he'll come and he'll show up, and he'll bring friends, and he'll bring people with us. This is one of the pastors that he is serving out there. And these guys come from all over the place, and they come and they will just sit on my porch and sit there and wait for me to come out. I mean, this is my, and so I'll be like, hello, can I help you? Because there they are, and they'll just sit and wait. And like these guys here. These guys came and they said, hey, we're from the region of Papake, and we walked 2 weeks to get here. I said, I'm busy, can you come back tomorrow? No, I didn't say that. I said, come back in 2 days. Oh, well, here's me being absolutely amazed. So we have, like, I don't know what you call them, these care packages, these things that we put together and assemble and ship out to these remote areas. Okay, things that you can't get, like, sugar, salt, soap, some basic necessities, things that don't grow on trees, like nails, hammers, saws, some basic materials, and also books, Bibles, small catechisms, those little story books. These types of things that these guys cannot get out there. There's a guitar in that box. This is the back of my van, by the way. So we're taking those stuff out to the airport to ship out. Because out there in the jungle, they do this kind of stuff. These are hand-cut logs. Hand-cut logs that they use to build up their buildings with. And now if they have a tarp, they'll cover it with a tarp until they can get enough grass together for one of those. So, again, one of these outreach programs we had, we sent this group of pastors, one of the bishops and these pastors out to this region that had at one time 20 congregations. But one by one they kind of dispersed or changed to other denominations and left and so forth. So there was only 1 or 2 left. So we sent this group out to kind of revitalize the area, see who's left and what they can do to help out and so forth. So here they are at this congregation, kind of visiting. Here's one of the original members. He's now blind, but when they showed up, he's like, "Hey, there's still Lutherans here. Where have you guys been? It took me so long." He's still there. So they're building new congregations out there now. So here they are putting up the sticks. And I'm pretty sure that they use nails for that. I don't see, if they don't have nails, they will just tie, strips of bark or whatever around that to keep it in place. Here's another outreach program. This is in the village called Anji. And we took the kids out to Anji. They had not had a worship house. It had fallen down, like they do, but they never rebuilt it. So for 30 years they didn't have a place to worship. And they were newly rebuilding it, finally getting around to it, I guess. But over there at Anji, they're on the side of a mountain. Their whole village goes up and up and up this mountain. So we kind of thought, hey, let's go check it out. So across the bridge we went, follow these kids around. And as you get up, you turn around and look, and here's the view, kind of at their little village. And there's that building there in the middle has a metal roof. Okay, so they will save up sometimes some money enough to buy some metal roof. And those will last 40 or 50 years, okay, instead of the 10 years with the grass roots. But we went up and up and up the mountain until we got tired and just turned around and went back down. All the kids loved to, come out and see us. They didn't get tired. We got tired. The kids. All right, so they built the sanctuary. Here's behind me. There's that building back there. They got that green tarp over that little entryway there. But in order to get to that sanctuary, you had to cross this bridge over that river. While it was raining, with no handrails, and yeah. How'd you like to cross that every week? No.
You want to pass around these things too?